very much for joining us today. As you are aware that based on multiple credible inputs from various sources that included military intelligence, Jammu Kashmir Police and our own sources on ground, yesterday we have foiled an infiltration bid in the area of Kamalkot in Uri sector from Pakistan occupied Jammu and Kashmir, in which a total of 3 foreign terrorists have been neutralized, along with recovery of assault weapons and ammunition as is displayed in front of you. So what we'll do is, to my left is the commanding officer of the unit that has carried out this operation. He will give you a brief on the salient aspects. Thereafter we will cover certain aspects which are relevant in this development. This operation was carried out in extremely challenging terrain. It has got dense undergrowth. The weather was extremely foggy with heavy rain and the entire area is mined. So the multifarious challenges which were faced in the conduct of this operation could be well appreciated.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Good morning to all. Jai Hind. I would be briefing you about Op Mrityunjay based on specific intelligence from the military intelligence, Jammu and Kashmir Police, other agencies as well as own sources, along with our own forward observation by the troops deployed on the line of control in the sector, which includes the troops of the Border Security Force, which had spotted suspicious movement in this area in this period. So based on these, Operation Mrityunjay was launched on 24th August in the Kamalkot area of Uri sector. The period of the operation was under inclement weather in terms of heavy rains and dense fog. And also a note on the terrain. The terrain is a difficult terrain in this area with undulations, steep gradient, thick undergrowth and dense vegetation, as well as a number of minefields. In this context, own troops that comprised of our ambush parties, small team ambush parties and surveillance detachments inducted into this area using stealth to their designated locations. To commend the action, own teams were not picked up by the enemy's surveillance devices and surveillance mechanisms. Own teams were deployed in this location for over 25 hours, and at 7:50 AM on 25th August, the own teams spotted infiltrating terrorists crossing the line of control. At this moment, the team commander recited the ambushes based on the progress of the movement of the terrorists. The movement of the terrorists was ascertained by using the latest aerial and ground-based sensors and surveillance equipment. And as the terrorist movement progressed, own teams kept readjusting their ambush locations. At around 8:45 AM, the terrorists came into the killing ground at 40 to 50 meters from the own ambush. At that moment, own ambush engaged the terrorists by firing onto them and also displayed higher standard of junior leadership, tactical acumen and fire control. The terrorists retaliated to own engagement. In this brief exchange of 15 minutes, 3 Pak terrorists were neutralized and their bodies along with the weapons were observed lying in the minefield. At this moment, the own teams kept the area under observation so as to check for the remnants of this terrorist group. Thereon, once the area was secured and sanitized, own teams undertook search in the feasible areas within the minefield and recovered 3 killed terrorists along with the weapons and other stores. The search is still on because of the constraints of the minefield, and right now mine clearance measures are being undertaken to ensure proper search. Till now, this Operation Mrityunjay has yielded in 3 terrorists killed and also in the recovery of 2 AK series weapons along with 1 Chinese M16 weapon and the ammunition of these weapons and other stores. It has also come to light that these terrorists were well kitted and prepared for infiltration, and also their build and gait indicates that they had undergone former military training. During Operation Mrityunjay, own troops displayed highest standard of professionalism and courage. Also, all the latest and the new generation surveillance equipments and weapons were put to optimum use during the course of this operation. Thank you.
Right. So you heard how this operation has been conducted. I would just like to highlight 2 particular facets which which are pertinent here. Firstly is that this is not an incident in isolation. Although in Uri Kamalkot Bol this has happened after a long time, this area is traditionally known for infiltration of warlike, apart from terrorists, of warlike stores and drugs. If you recall, in last few days, we have had incidents like this in Palanwala in Aknoor sector, in Noshera in Rajouri sector, as also in the area of Tangdhar and Gurez in Kupada sector. If you see the pattern, then it is very evident that from the political statements, from the intelligence inputs that we get, and more so from these recurring actions all along the line of control, that we discern there is no change to Pakistan's intent or actions with respect to abetting terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir, which is a matter of concern. Secondly is that the success of the operation indicates the kind of synergy we've been able to build up here with all the stakeholders, which includes military intelligence, other agencies, Jammu and Kashmir police, the integrated deployment with the border security force, the incorporation of technology, whether it is for technical intelligence, whether surveillance, communication, precision engagements and command and control has come to fore here. And lastly, despite the inhospitable terrain as covered, inclement weather with heavy fog and rain and the area being mined, I think in a surgical and a very deliberate manner shows the high level of alertness and training of our own troops. Thank you very much. We are open to questions.
General,
Yeah, please, one.
infiltration attempt is continued. Does it mean Pakistan so far has not learned any lessons, or there is any weakness from outside?
Right. As you would appreciate, line of control is over 740 odd kilometers, which includes very difficult terrain, spells of inclement weather. So despite the vigilance, there are gaps from where they try and infiltrate terrorist and warlike stores. Now with each increasing day, the level of technology, the level of alertness is only improving. So the infiltrations have come down significantly, which is also indicated by the peace in the hinterland. So we feel that they are getting more and more desperate to push in these people from any way which is possible. And this is one attempt which was made early in the morning, which is indicative of its desperation here.
General, one question. I wonder this M16 which is lying there.
Yeah.
We've seen in many of the recoveries M4 being found out, recovered. This is probably the first time that M16 has been recovered. What does it indicate? It's a Chinese-made rifle. Do you see a nexus, kind of a nexus between Chinese now trying to put in their, arms and ammunition and handing it over to Pakistan ISI, and they in turn giving it to militants?
Well, usually we find the AK series and at times, like you said, M4 rifles being recovered. This M16 is a Chinese make 9mm caliber weapon. This is an unusual recovery, but it would be too premature to speculate on the larger context of it. So I think we'll have to really examine and go into the details. This recovery has just been made yesterday, but it's an unusual one, yes.
Sir, as far as the identity of these terrorists is concerned,
Yes,
anything
ma'am.
on that, and how is the situation along the line of control since troops are deployed? Do you see frequent movements?
Right, ma'am. Firstly, identity. As you would have, learnt, this one terrorist who's been captured alive from Noshera, the confession that he has given, the terrorist who was caught, whose body was recovered from Kupada, had his ID on him. So probably it is our assessment that before pushing in these terrorists for infiltration, their IDs have been taken away from them and they were not in possession of any IDs as such. So we are not aware of the exact identities of these people. As regards the situation on the line of control, based on multiple inputs, it is our assessment that at any point in time, opposite this sector alone, we have close to 100 to 120 terrorists attempting to infiltrate and present in 15 to 20 launch pads which are close to the line of control. So while the ceasefire understanding is largely holding good for the benefit of people on both the sides, the presence of terrorists in the launch pad and their continuous attempts to infiltrate is on.
Sir, are there any incidents after using drones by terrorist handlers to send ammunition across the border in North Kashmir?
Oh, well, not really. You would be aware of the reports which have happened, these kind of incidents which have happened on the IB in Punjab and other places. We are watching out for that and prepared to deal with it.
Thank you.
ऑपरेशन रहा ये वो इसका कितना इम्पैक्ट पड़ सकता है?
Sorry?
कितना बड़ा सक्सेसफुल ऑपरेशन रहा है आर्मी के लिए, सिक्योरिटी फोर्स, और इसका कितना इम्पैक्ट पड़ सकता है?
देखिए, firstly, the desperation to push the terrorist in the daytime, it shows the level of frustration which is there on the other side. And secondly, the fact that within a few minutes this operation was over without any casualties to own troops and elimination of all the 3 terrorists. I think it sends a very clear signal of the level of preparedness of our troops on the line of control.
सर ये M16 जो ये पहली बार रिकवर हुआ है कश्मीर पे
I will have to check in that. As I said, it's an unusual recovery, but we will have to go into it to find out whether in the past what kind of recoveries have been of this kind of weapon. Hai na?
I want to understand one question. You know, you talked about these 120 odd militants being spread across the line of control, and there's also a ceasefire agreement, a ceasefire pact which is in place. What is changed actually that Pakistan is back to its own game, the familiar game which we know?
Well, okay, the fact is it has never stopped playing that game. I would rather say that when it comes to abating terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir, it has never stopped playing that game. The frequency may have varied, the level of infiltration may have varied a bit. It has largely been checked here, but it has never changed that game. But as far as the ceasefire understanding is concerned, I think it is our conviction that it is to the benefit of people on both sides of the line of control, and to the extent possible we would like to adhere or maintain status quo in that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
हाँ जी, हिंदी में बोल देते हैं, हिंदी में अलग से ठीक है, ऑलराइट, नो प्रॉब्लम, ओके, थैंक यू
सर मेरा
थैंक यू
कत कर बादाम